Every second, millions of new DNA molecules are synthesized inside the human body. But where are these building blocks of DNA and RNA coming from? In this video, we will explore the pyrimidine synthesis step by step, from the formation of carbamoyl phosphate all the way to clinically important drugs like 5-fluorouracil, methotrexate. Understanding this pathway is essential not only for the biochemistry exams, but also for understanding the cancer chemotherapy, antiviral drugs, DNA synthesis, and cell division. The first step in the de novo synthesis of the pyrimidine metabolism is the formation of the carbamoyl phosphate. What is actually happening here in this reaction is that the carbon dioxide first gets activated using ATP molecule. The ammonia is released from the glutamine molecule, then combines with the activated carbon dioxide to form a carbamoyl group. Finally, a phosphate is added, producing the carbamoyl phosphate. The important chemical change here is that the formation of a high energy carbamoyl phosphate bond using two ATP molecules. So to summarize, the formation of the carbamoyl phosphate is the first committed and the rate limiting step of the de novo pyrimidine synthesis. It occurs in the cytosol, where carbamoyl phosphate synthetase 2 or CPS2 enzyme uses carbon dioxide, glutamine, and ATP to form carbamoyl phosphate. Two ATP molecules are consumed in this reaction. The CPS2 is a highly regulated enzyme. That is, it is activated by PRPP and ATP, but it is inhibited by UTP through feedback inhibition. This step determines the overall rate of pyrimidine synthesis. Now coming to the second step, that is the formation of carbamoyl aspartate. Here, the amino group of the aspartate attacks the carbamoyl group of the carbamoyl phosphate. The phosphate group leaves and the carbamoyl group becomes attached to the aspartate. So the main structural change here is the transfer of the carbamoyl moiety onto the aspartate, creating carbamoyl aspartate. So to summarize the step, the carbamoyl phosphate combines with the aspartate under the action of aspartate transcarbamylase to form the carbamoyl aspartate. Aspartate contributes most of the atoms that eventually forms the pyrimidine ring. This reaction occurs in the cytosol and represents an important early step in the ring assembly. Now coming to the third step, that is the formation of dihydroorotate. In this step, carbamoyl aspartate folds and cyclizes to form the pyrimidine ring. During cyclization, a molecule of water is removed. The important change is conversion of an open chain molecule into a closed 6-membered pyrimidine ring structure called as dihydroorotate or dihydroorotic acid. So to summarize, the carbamoyl aspartate now undergoes cyclization by the enzyme dihydroorotase to form the dihydroorotate. During this reaction, the water is removed and the pyrimidine ring begins to take shape. This is the first true cyclic intermediate in the pyrimidine synthesis. Now coming to the fourth step, that is the formation of orotate. Dihydroorotate undergoes oxidation in the mitochondria. Two hydrogen atoms are removed from the ring and transferred to NAD+. Because of this oxidation, double bonds are introduced into the ring, converting the dihydroorotate into the more stable aromatic pyrimidine ring form called orotate. In the mitochondria, the dihydroorotate dehydrogenase oxidizes the dihydroorotate into orotic acid, also called orotate. NAD+ acts as the electron acceptor in this reaction. This step is clinically important because it completes the formation of the pyrimidine ring before attachment to the ribose phosphate. This is what you have to write in your exams. So you can use this slide as the notes. The first one is for your understanding purpose and the second one is for your notes. You can write these things. Actually, you will be having time only to write this much. Just writing this much itself, time will be sufficient. So you can use this slide. Now coming to the fifth step, that is the formation of orotidine monophosphate. In this reaction, the PRPP, phosphoribosyl pyrophosphate, it donates the ribose 5-phosphate to orotate molecule. The pyrimidine base becomes attached to the ribose sugar through an N-glycosidic bond. Pyrophosphate is released. So the key change here is the attachment of the completed pyrimidine ring onto the ribose phosphate to form a nucleotide. Now the fully formed pyrimidine ring is attached to the ribose phosphate. Orotate reacts with the PRPP through the enzyme orotate phosphoribosyltransferase transferase to form orotidine monophosphate. The important difference that you have to remember between purine synthesis and pyrimidine synthesis is that in purine synthesis, first attachment to the PRPP happens and then ring forms. But here, first the ring has formed and now it has attached to PRPP. If you have any doubts, once go back to the purine synthesis pathway. In pyrimidine synthesis, first the ring is formed, then it is attached to PRPP, unlike the purine synthesis. Now coming to the sixth step, that is formation of UMP, uridine monophosphate. The orotidine monophosphate contains a carboxyl group attached to the pyrimidine ring. So the enzyme OMP decarboxylase will remove the carbon dioxide group. The major change here is loss of carbon dioxide from the ring, converting orotidine monophosphate into uridine monophosphate. So coming to the notes, the OMP undergoes decarboxylation by OMP decarboxylase to form uridine monophosphate or UMP. UMP is the first pyrimidine nucleotide produced in the de novo synthesis and serves as the precursor for all the other pyrimidine nucleotides. So a viva question can be, what is the first pyrimidine nucleotide that acts as a precursor for other pyrimidine nucleotides? Means your answer should be uridine monophosphate. Now coming to the seventh step, that is the formation of UDP. This is basically a phosphorylation reaction. In this phosphorylation reaction, one phosphate group from ATP is transferred onto the uridine monophosphate. As a result, uridine monophosphate gains an additional phosphate group and becomes uridine diphosphate, while the ATP becomes ADP. Coming to the notes, you have to write UMP is phosphorylated by UMP kinase using the ATP molecule to form UDP. This simple phosphorylation step helps increase the energy level of the nucleotide and prepares it for further conversion into triphosphate forms, because ultimately we need triphosphate forms. Coming to the eighth step, that is the formation of the uridine triphosphate. Now here another phosphate group is transferred from ATP onto UDP. This converts the diphosphate nucleotide into a triphosphate nucleotide, that is UTP. The major structural change here is the addition of the third phosphate group. For the notes, UDP receives another phosphate group from the ATP through the enzyme nucleoside diphosphate kinase to form the UTP. UTP is an important pyrimidine nucleotide used in the RNA synthesis and also acts as a regulator of the pyrimidine metabolism. Now coming to the last step, that is the formation of the CTP. In this reaction, the oxygen atom at the fourth position of the UTP is replaced by an amino group derived from the glutamine. ATP provides the energy required for the amination reaction. So the important chemical change here is the conversion of the uracil ring into a cytosine ring by the addition of nitrogen, ultimately resulting in the formation of citidine triphosphate, CTP. So in the final step, UTP is converted into CTP by the CTP synthetase. Glutamine provides the amino group, ATP supplies the energy. CTP is required for the RNA synthesis and phospholipid formation. This step is tightly regulated by the feedback inhibition from the CTP itself. So one more regulatory molecule is CTP. So coming to the regulation of the pyrimidine synthesis. The major regulatory enzyme of the pyrimidine synthesis is carbamoyl phosphate synthetase 2 or CPS2. The next one is the UTP molecule. We have already discussed UTP is a regulatory molecule. So how is it acting as a regulatory molecule? The UTP inhibits the CPS2 enzyme through feedback inhibition, preventing the excess nucleotide production. Then PRPP and ATP, these two are actually the activators of the CPS2 enzyme, signaling that the cell has sufficient substrates and the energy needed for the nucleotide synthesis. So PRPP, ATP are activators of CPS2, UTP is an inhibitor of CPS2. Then the other enzyme is the CTP synthetase. CTP synthetase is also regulated by feedback inhibition from CTP. So UTP and CTP molecules, regulator molecules, we have already been discussing this. So the balance between these two helps maintain a balanced nucleotide pool in the body. So just like purines are having de novo synthesis and there is a salvage pathway, same way pyrimidine synthesis, which can start from the scratch, that is the de novo synthesis, and if any preformed products are also present, if from those products, if there is formation of pyrimidines, that is the salvage pathway. The salvage pathway recycles the pyrimidine bases and nucleosides formed during degradation. This pathway conserves the cellular energy because the pyrimidine ring does not need to be synthesized again from the scratch. The enzymes like uracil phosphoribosyltransferase transferase and thymidine kinase, they help regenerate the pyrimidine nucleotides. Then there is something called as viral thymidine kinase. What is the mechanism involved here? Let's focus on this highlighted part. When a virus infects a cell, it produces an enzyme called as viral thymidine kinase, which is important for activating antiviral drugs like acyclovir and ganciclovir. These drugs are initially administered in an inactive form. As you can see there, they are inactive form, and therefore they cannot be used to inhibit the viral replication on their own. But later on, the viral thymidine kinase first adds one phosphate group to the drug, after which the host cell enzymes adds two additional phosphate groups, converting the drugs into their active triphosphate forms, that is the acyclovir triphosphate or ganciclovir triphosphate. These active forms then inhibit the viral DNA polymerase, which is required for the viral DNA synthesis and replication. As a result, the viral DNA cannot be synthesized, viral replication stops, and the infection gets controlled. Now we will be talking about the actual steps happening in the salvage pathway of pyrimidine synthesis. First, we will be talking about the salvage pathway of the pyrimidine bases. Then we will be talking about salvage pathway of the pyrimidine nucleosides. So first, let's talk about the bases. In the uracil salvage, uracil receives a phosphate group from PRPP molecule. The free pyrimidine base, that is the uracil, it becomes attached to the ribose phosphate and forms UMP. The major change here is the conversion of a free base into a nucleotide. That is the reaction happening there. Now, the uridine undergoes phosphorylation using an ATP, converting it into UMP by the enzyme uridine kinase. So, a UMP is formed. Then what happens? Likewise, cytidine, there is another nucleoside. The cytidine gains a phosphate from the ATP molecule and using the enzyme cytidine kinase forms cytidine monophosphate. And finally, thymidine kinase, that is the enzyme, transfers a phosphate group from the ATP onto the thymidine, producing the thymidine monophosphate. This step is especially important in DNA synthesis and viral replication. So now let's understand the formation of dTMP, thymidine monophosphate. The DUMP contains uracil while the dTMP contains thymine. The difference is only methyl group. Methyl group is present at the carbon 5th position of the pyrimidine ring in the thymine. The thymidylate synthase transfers this methyl group from the N5N10 methylene tetrahydrofolate and it dumps it into the DUMP molecule, converting the uracil into thymine. The dTMP synthesis is a critical step because the thymidine nucleotides are required exclusively for DNA synthesis. So that is the importance of dTMP formation. Now let's talk about the regeneration of the tetrahydrofolate because that is the methyl donor. Just now we have learned from DUMP to dTMP, the only difference is a methyl molecule which is donated by this tetrahydrofolate. So we have to constantly supply this tetrahydrofolate in the body. How is it being done? The dihydrofolate reductase or DHFR enzyme, it regenerates the tetrahydrofolate using the NADPH from dihydrofolate. So NADPH acts as a cofactor. Without this regeneration step, the tetrahydrofolate stores would become depleted and the dTMP synthesis would stop. This reaction is the target of important anti-cancer drugs such as methotrexate. That means the methotrexate inhibits the dihydrofolate reductase enzyme. Because of the dTMP synthesis doesn't happen. Because of the DNA replication will stop. That is the importance of regeneration of tetrahydrofolate. Once dTMP is formed, then dTDP and dTTP, monophosphate, diphosphate, triphosphates. Now the dTMP is phosphorylated by the thymidylate kinase to form the dTDP, and then nucleoside diphosphate kinase converts the dTDP into dTTP. Now finally, the dTTP is essential for the DNA synthesis, replication and cell division. The important point you have to remember is that dTTPs are present only in the DNA but not in the RNA. Now coming to the regulation of the deoxythymine nucleotide synthesis. Pyrimidine synthase is the main regulatory enzyme here. Its activity is dependent on availability of the dTMP, availability of the tetrahydrofolate, and the cellular requirement for the DNA synthesis. 5-fluorouracil is the drug that inhibits the thymidylate synthase, while methotrexate inhibits the dihydrofolate reductase. And finally, there is a physiological cause like the folate deficiency. It also decreases the deoxythymidine monophosphate synthesis, that is a dTMP synthesis, the first step, and it can lead to megaloblastic anemia. So basically, the thymidylate synthase is the major enzyme that is needed here. Along with that, the DHFR can also help in the regulation. There are two drugs, 5-fluorouracil and the methotrexate, which inhibit each of these enzymes. So this is the regulation of the deoxythymine nucleotide synthesis. Now coming to the antimetabolites acting on the pyrimidine synthesis or pyrimidine analogs. So what do you mean by pyrimidine analogs or antimetabolites? Means the pyrimidine analogs, they are the structural mimics of the normal pyrimidines, but they interfere with the nucleotide synthesis and DNA replication. These pyrimidine analogs are the drugs which are widely used in the cancer chemotherapy and antiviral treatment because rapidly dividing cells are especially sensitive to impaired DNA synthesis. Generally, these pyrimidine analogs, they act by inhibiting the enzymes involved in the pyrimidine synthesis. Just now we have discussed two enzymes. So that is the mechanism by which these pyrimidine analogs act. Next we will be discussing about each of the drugs individually. So the important pyrimidine analogs are 5-fluorouracil. It inhibits the thymidylate synthase and blocks the dTMP formation. We discussed it just now. Then cytarabine and gemcitabine, these two are also drugs. They interfere with the DNA polymerase and terminate the DNA chain elongation. If you remember the DNA replication, that is where you have read about the DNA polymerase. So the DNA polymerase is inhibited by the drugs cytarabine and gemcitabine. The next drug is 5-azacitidine, which alters the DNA methylation and the gene expression. Whenever methylation happens, the DNA expression decreases, the gene expression decreases. That is how 5-azacitidine is acting. Now the next drug is adoxyridine. It damages the viral DNA, while zidovudine, it inhibits the reverse transcriptase in the HIV. And finally, methotrexate. Methotrexate acts indirectly by blocking the dihydrofolate reductase and reducing the tetrahydrofolate regeneration. That will ultimately result in decreased dTMP synthesis. Understanding these drugs helps us in guiding the modern cancer therapies and the modern antiviral therapies. So this is in brief about the pyrimidine synthesis, both pathways, that is the de novo synthesis and the salvage synthesis. And then we discussed about the regulation of the pyrimidine synthesis and synthesis of the dTMPs, deoxynucleotides, and regulation of deoxynucleotides, and finally pyrimidine analogs. If you have understood the video, like the video and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one, that is on the pyrimidine degradation.